So first question: compare the origin and weather conditions associated with the tropical and temperate cyclone. Compare the origin and weather conditions are associated with the tropical and temperate cyclone. Tropical cyclones are violent winds spiraling upwards from tropical ocean surface to great height, sometimes up to tropopause, and moving across ocean. So generally from east to west. So tropical cyclones generally moving across the ocean and generally from east to west. And whilst tropical ocean cyclones are violent, whilst spiraling upward from tropical ocean surface to great height, ocean generally from east to west, they are characterized by huge pressure deficit at the center, cyclonic circulation, violent winds, and severe weather. They are characterized by huge pressure deficit at the center, cyclonic circulation, violent winds, and severe weather. The origin and evolution of tropical cyclones has four phases. Formative phase stage: a tropical disturbance is noticed in a large. A tropical disturbance is noticed in a large oceanic area where the sea surface temperature is above over 26 degrees centigrade. This apparently is the threshold value to maintain a steep vertical landscape and lapse rate. A certain minimum value of the Coriolis force is required to provide the initial torque. This means that cyclones do not form near the equator, about 5 degree latitude on either side. So this apparently method. So here tropical disturbance is noticed in a large oceanic area where the sea surface temperature is about 26 degrees centigrade. This apparently is the threshold value to maintain a steep vertical slab state. A certain minimum value of the Coriolis force is required. So a certain minimum value of the Coriolis force is required to provide the initial torque. This means that cyclones do not form near the equator. This means that cyclones do not form near the equator above about 5 degree latitude on either side. The the formative stage extend from low pressure area to severe cyclonic storm when an eye wall are formed. The formative stage extends from the low pressure area to severe cyclonic storm when an eye wall are formed. Pressure falls slowly when the latent heat of condensation. Pressure falls slowly and when the latent heat of condensation, which is the primary source of energy. And energy released, the central pressure deficit of the it is mainly 10 MV, so it is pressure deficit 10 MV. Now a small counter current starts descending from the top of the cyclone through the gap in the center. Now a small center current starts descending from the top of the cyclone through the gap of the center, gap in the center. In the immature phase, there is rapid fall in the central pressure, reaching the lowest limit. Clouds and the rain get organized into special bands. Into the immature phase, there is a rapid fall in the central pressure, reaching and lowest limit. Clouds and rain get organized into spiral bands. Area of strong winds remains small, but winds attain the maximizing speed. The entire process is very quick. In the mature stage, the pressure fall and wind velocity increases and are arrested, and the circulation expand outwards and asymmetry sets in as the area of rain and gales extend much more into the right and the direction of motion of the system. The process lasts a few days. The decay of cyclone starts in the dissipating stage when the system enters land or an oceanic region. When sea surface temperature is below lower than 26 degrees centigrade, over the land moisture supply is over the land some moisture supply is drastically curtailed, cutting off the energy input, and also there is a dissipation due to increased frictional drag. The winds decrease, the cyclone fills up and weakens, though the rainfall maybe may persist for a day or two more. The wind decrease, the cyclone fills up, the weekends, though the rainfall may be persist for a day or two more. Temperate cyclone, extratropical cyclone, or, or warm cyclones form in the mid latitudes of and temperate zone, where contrasting air mass meet. So it is there that the cyclones and anticyclones travels with varying regularity along with the prevailing westerly winds. These moving cyclones produce cloudiness and precipitation and also bring out changes in temperature and also pressure. Temperate cyclones developed in regions lying between 30 and 65 north and south latitudes. The temperate cyclones developed in regions lying 30 north, 30 and 62 and 60 north and south latitudes. So south hemisphere, and it is in this latitude zone that the polar and tropical air mass meet and form what is known as polar front. So polar and tropical air mass meet known as polar front. The thermal contrast between the warm air mass of subtropical origin and cold air mass of polar area provides the necessary energy for the temperate cyclone. The thermal contrast between the warm air mass of the subtropical origin and the cold air mass of polar area provides the necessary energy for the temperate cyclone. The polar front theory of Barkness provides the fundamental explanation for the origin of temperate cyclones, though addition of baroclinic theory baroque theory, the precision of polar front theory was further augmented. According to the polar front theory, the cold polar air is deflected equatorward, and the one tropical air poleward, a cyclone forming wave is formed along otherwise smooth polar front. The formation of wave is indicative of the fact that the thermally contrasting air starts encroaching the domains of each other. The formation of wave is indicative of the fact that the thermally contrasting air starts encroaching the domains of each other. The wave thus formed can be divided into two parts. The eastern part, where the one you are advocating towards northeast ascents, or the wedge of cold air mass, is called a warm front. The eastern part, where the warmth you are advancing towards northeast towards the northeast ascent over a wedge of cold air mass called warm front. So eastern part, where the warm air advancing towards the northeast ascending over the wedge of cold air mass called warm front. So the western portion of the discontinued cold where cold air mass is replacing the warm air by under running the warm and lighter tropical air mass is called cold front. So under favorable condition, the curling motion aided release force increase the amplitude of the frontal wave, owing to certain dynamic cause and affects the curvature, develops a kick. The development of kink marks the entry of cyclone into fully developed stage with two distinct sections of warm and cold fronts. So now the same, and now we study. So thank you.